We're hitting the MVP market for another future here, big guy, and that is Christian McCaffrey at 35-1.
Yeah, this is one of those bets where maybe I just have like sour grapes from the fact that I didn't fire on Brock Purdy at 50-1 like week 3 or 4 of the season when I wanted to and talked myself out of it. But when you look at that team and, they lost the 3 in a row and Brock Purdy didn't elevate his game, I think there's a strong case against him. And if you want to have the best player on the best team win the award, Christian McCaffrey is the best player on the best team, even though Deebo Samuel is having a great last, few weeks. I think this number on McCaffrey is going to potentially shorten up here when you look at the schedule. That's why I'm getting in at 35-1. They're at Arizona this week. They allow the second most rush yards in the league and the 4th most rushing touchdowns to running backs. Remember, McCaffrey finds the end zone. He had that streak of like 12, 13, whatever it was in a row where he found the end zone. He could potentially have a monster day this week and that shorten up. Following the Cardinals, it's the Ravens against the Niners. And while the Ravens are known for having a good run defense, they are allowing running backs about middle of the road, 17th in rush yards to running backs. What they do, though, is limit the passer. Brock Purdy could have a tough day that day. They allow the least amount of passing touchdowns and the 7th fewest passing yards in the league right now. So coming off Arizona where McCaffrey could pop, could be a bad game for Purdy. I think that could shorten things up a lot for McCaffrey, who then would have Washington in the second to last game of the year. That defense is given up. That defense stunk before they traded Chase Young, before they traded Montez Sweat and sold all the pieces. What do you think they're going to care about second to last game of the year, week 17? And they allow the most receiving yards to running backs, another thing that McCaffrey is really good at doing. I don't know if he's going to win the award. I will also point out that the last non-quarterback that I bet to win this award got injured the following week in Tyreek Hill. Oof. But I will say, I have added this to the portfolio of MVP bets, and I haven't made as many as you would think based on my history. I have Lamar Jackson 13-1. Kirk Cousins, 130-1, RIP. Myles Garrett, 300-1, not happening. And then Tyreek Hill and now McCaffrey. I think McCaffrey, the number at 30-35-1 is just way too big.
I hear your argument for McCaffrey, and I think he's an outstanding player, but he's not going to win it. I'll tell you what, I don't think Purdy's going to win it. I think it's going to be Dak Prescott. And the reason is you look at his numbers, 28 touchdowns, 6 INTs, but it's the way the Cowboys have played down the stretch. They have just dismantled teams. I mean, this is a team, I talked about it, I think on Monday, excuse me. This team has scored, I think, 33 points or more in 6 of their last 7 games. They've just been so proficient offensively. I think the problem with the Niners is they have so many pieces and parts that are so elite. You look at this Cowboys running game this year, it's taken a step back. Zeke wasn't great, but he opened up the middle there for Pollard on the perimeter. That's changed the dynamic. Listen, guys, we haven't talked about Tony Pollard much this year, and there's a reason for it. Dak Prescott, 28 touchdowns, 6 INTs, Purdy, 25-7. Numbers are comparable. Completion percentage, quarterback ratings, they're all in the same area code.
He's either going to win or lose the award in the next 3 weeks.
Yeah, but the schedule works out well, right? You're at Buffalo, and even if they don't win the game, but he plays well, they've got a chance at the Dolphins. I think he's got a great opportunity. I think as good as Purdy is, I think the argument would be made that there's 10 to 12 guys that could play in San Francisco and they could do the same thing.
Yeah, one thing I'd add about McCaffrey is it's not a crazy historical stat, but if he keeps the NFL rushing lead for 4 more weeks, he'll be the first player since Emmitt Smith in '95 to lead the NFL in rushing every single week from the first week to the last week. A little consistency. I just think the number's too big. 35-1. I have to jump in and get a little taste.
But you got to ask yourself one thing from a betting perspective. You took Myles Garrett, and I get it at 300-1, but there's been one defensive player to win MVP, right? Taylor in '86. And so to me, when you see a McCaffrey at 35-1, what does he have to do in the final 4 games of the regular season to be able to catapult Brock and Dak Prescott at this point in time?
So it's less what he has to do, and one that I do not think there is a clear-cut MVP at the moment. Like, Dak is having a great year, but he's beaten, one good team, and he's got to go to Buffalo, which they've been surging the last, or they look good off the bye, I should say. Miami, who now has something to prove defensively, and it's still on the road in Miami. Not sure he's going to throw all over them based on his, recent numbers on the road. Lamar is in the mix, but he's not having a sexy season. for a guy who runs the ball as much as he does. Jalen Hurts has too many turnovers. I don't think he can win. Tyreek Hill just got hurt. I think proved he's the MVP, but because he didn't have the numbers from this last game, he's not in. Mahomes isn't the MVP. Like, there is no clear-cut MVP, so I'm going to take the shot at 35-1.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying, but the problem I have with the MVP award now is become like the Heisman Trophy, right? Like the running backs get the Doak Walker, and the quarterbacks get the Heisman. In the NFL, the non-quarterback gets the Offensive Player of the Year award.
Sure. Well, I also have him at 12-1 to win Offensive Player of the Year.
The big guy is in big guy mode right now. I have great news for you because you've mentioned about 35 times that McCaffrey, is 35-1. I got great news for you. He's now 40-1 at DraftKings, so his number has lengthened since you looked at it this morning at DraftKings. So you like 35-1? You love 40-1, big guy.
It's not often I get involved in something and something lengthens, if you know what I mean.
We knew that was coming. Dak 1.5, so plus 150. Brock Purdy plus 185. Who was it recently? There's been a lot. Maybe it was Cam that came out and crushed. Like Goff, he crushed Purdy. He crushed Dak.
Yep.
I think there was one
other quarterback.
Who was the other name?
Tua.
Yeah, good one. And he said they were all just game managers. And so now he's taken a lot of heat for it. But Dak's plus 150, Purdy plus 185. Dustin, you mentioned Lamar Jackson plus 475. Totally agree with you. For the Lamar season, I think you put it well. Not a sexy season for a guy that likes to run the football. Jalen Hurts 6.5-1. Tyreek injured 16-1. Don't know if he'll be playing. Justin Jefferson, by the way, he is going to be playing this weekend. I'm not sure if you mentioned that in 3-point, but I saw that pop up. 16-1 on Mahomes, and then Allen 18-1. So there's 2-20, and then McCaffrey 40.
I think Dustin made the best argument on Tyreek Hill, which is you saw Miami's offense with him and Miami's offense without him. Trust me, they are not putting up 70 against the Denver Broncos without Tyreek Hill in that lineup. And by the way, not only that, how about the fall-off that we've seen in Kansas City's offense this year?
Yeah.
As good as Travis Kelce is, he also benefited from having Tyreek Hill around him, as did Patrick Mahomes. I go back to last year's Super Bowl. Somehow the Chiefs win the Super Bowl, Mahomes throws for 182 yards, and they put up over 30 points. I mean, to me, that's the biggest shock, is the drop-off you've seen from the offensive production with Kansas City. They went with the New England Patriots blueprint. We can just throw guys out there at wide receiver. You know what? It doesn't work no matter how great your quarterback is.
Dustin, the way you were just coming with McCaffrey facts. Like that was manifest right there. Manifest. I'm going to call you James Polk. There's manifest destiny.
There's a bit of bitterness in me placing this bet.
I could tell there was a tinge of bitterness
because
in your voice.
normally I'm constantly firing in these awards markets, but I've somehow been very disciplined throughout the NFL season, and I realized it's almost over, and I haven't really messed around a lot, and I missed out on some really good opportunities in the year. So I was looking at the numbers, and I wasn't going to let a guy getting that long, who I think does have a good case, get out of there without me betting on him, especially before he faces the Cardinals, who can't stop the run.
Go to VSiN.com/subscribe to become a VSiN Pro subscriber today.